So first up, we're talking to Douglas Brooke Holmes, and Rochelle is going to share the contractor's end of it. She's been in the business like absolutely forever. So she knows all of the ins and the outs and the things that can just absolutely destroy your commission. So that's the most important part, right? Is
yes.
commission.
What is a commissionable price?
So I'm just going to shut up and let Rochelle talk.
So Dawn and I will probably go back and forth on a couple of items, and then she has her own presentation. So Miss Dawn Hauser here with American Eagle is somebody that is one of our, if you want to call them preferred lenders, are definitely a lender that we work with and we work really well with. So we'll talk about preferred lender versus in-house, lenders with all of your big construction companies. So Miss Dawn, I know you're handing out some things, and I will, and then you please jump in and tell me where I go wrong.
Never wrong, never wrong. We're always changing and making adjustments in this mortgage industry.
So just real quick, what Douglas Brooke Holmes is, we are a We are a regional builder. We are not a publicly traded large builder like your Pulte's, your Lennars, anything like that. So we are more regional. So right now we are in Cape Coral, Lehigh, and Charlotte County. And then we are now moving in other parts of Florida. So you would consider us a local / regional builder. Okay. And then basically we have floor plans ranging from 1,400 square feet. And our largest right now is that I actually have a plan that you'll see in your packet when I hand those out is 1,723 square feet. But we do have two plans. I do have one that's now going to be over 2,000 square feet with 4 bedrooms. So, and then this just gives you an idea of what those are. It'll all make more sense when I hand out the packets, but you don't get them now. So let's talk about real quick the difference. There's a lot of similarities in terms of a resale contract versus a builder contract. Your biggest item is going to be understanding the difference between what you learned in your contract classes, which I'm sure that you always encourage them to take, and then what a builder contract looks like. My advice is to ask the builder in advance for a copy of that contract so that you can go through and see how it matches up to what your knowledge is in terms of the contract. So there's going to be a lot of the same legal language that's in there. There are going to be nuances. So, your standard resale contract is going to be what, 12 pages? Yeah. So on a builder contract, you might be looking at 20 pages. So again, it's in probably, bigger type, that kind of thing. But the difference is in terms of going through the process. So you still have contract signing, you still have an EMD, then you got inspections on your resale, and then you got construction. And this is what we're going to focus on today in understanding what that construction process is and that length of time. Does that make sense?
In the chat, they were wondering, do builders typically have the same type of, are they the same contracts they use?
No. That's why I'm saying ask for it in advance and make sure that you understand whichever builder that you're going to, that you understand their contract. And that's the point. Get it in advance and ask us questions. So, I mean, you can definitely ask me questions and I can help explain that. And the reason I'm saying that in advance is so that when we come in and sit down with your client, I want to make you all look as best as you can. We're all part of the same team. So I don't know how other builders do it. So I'm more than happy to help you explain the contract in advance. So other builders may not. I don't know. I can't speak to that.
That would be a warning sign to me if somebody did not want to share their contract with you.
Yes. Yes.
How do you feel about a builder that says, "Oh, write it up on a resale contract instead"?
No.
We see that from like onesies, twosies builders.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't
Yes.
talked to an attorney and gotten a new construction contract,
Right.
and they expect us to write it up on a resale contract, which really doesn't.
Right. And to speak to that, which is why this is how we play off so that's a good question, because what's going to happen there, like you said, the onesie twosies is that, so is that house already in the middle of construction? Has it not started construction yet? Is it in the permitting process? And then how can you have, and typically what they're going to do is they're going to ask you to say, oh, write this up on an as is. How can I write them on an as is if the house isn't even built yet? So am I too loud?
Oh, no, you're
okay. All right. So again, so then you still go through appraisal and closing, etc. So this is where I might tap into my lovely partner here, preferred lenders versus in-house lenders. Okay, so Douglas Brooke Holmes we do not own any sort of lending company. Okay, so we have preferred lenders in the sense that we work really well with Dawn and her team, and you can, but your buyers can use any lender that they want. Inside sort of their preferred lenders on other builders, that would be somebody that they own, and that has to be disclosed, and is typically kind of glossed over. There is disclosure requirements. We don't have those disclosure requirements because we don't own our own lending company. So with that, the other thing that I want to talk about with that real quick is, so we have in our contracts this item here real quick. So this doesn't give any pricing or anything like that, but it shows what would be included and who would pay what. So just in kind of X's and O's. So Dawn, you've seen this before.
Yes.
And so you
Can you hear me?
You on trial.
I am on.
So with that, so for example, we Douglas Brook Homes builds in scattered lots. You need to understand, and we'll get into that a little bit later, the difference between scattered lots and building in communities. So in our little sheet here, that's why there's some NAs. If there was something that we were going to do in a community and at a certain point we will do that, then these would move from NA. My point in bringing this up is to understand who pays for what. So with Douglas Brook Homes, think of us as on a resale contract where we are paying title. Whereas other builders, they're going to push everything over. Everything. So there would be nothing on the seller side. All of these X's would be over here. So that's not just your standard stuff. It would be everything that the typical resale seller would do. That's all going to be pushed to the buyer. So just something to keep in mind. And that's why you want to look at that contract ahead of time. Ask for it. And then that way you can understand these costs and charges. Does that make sense? Okay.
We have another question. Do they typically own the title company as well?
There are times, yes, there are times when they can also own the title company. But again, the difference with Douglas Brook Homes is we don't own the title company. Now we do have one title company we work with, but we have no financial association with them. Yeah. So, but we use Atlas Title, and all the closings would be with Atlas Title, but there's no financial benefit or association other than that's our selected for now. So any other questions on that? Okay. All right.
Jump in on anything here?
Just knowing the cost is super important, because if your customer only has X amount of dollars, we really need to know, like when I ask the question, when I'm doing like a pre-approval or something like that, I'd like to know my best costs that I could to make sure that your client has enough funds. And then we're not getting to the end and we're like, we're short 7,000, because we didn't know. So.
Yeah, sometimes what I do is that when I work with our lenders or any lender, I will pull this so that you guys don't have to dig through the contract. It's still going to be initial and dated by the buyer, but I send over the full contract and then I pull this out separate. So that makes it easy on you guys when you're trying to run your numbers as well. Yeah. And then the cost with Atlas Title, we try to send that over.
So Michelle, to Dawn's point, how are you guys dealing with cost escalations in construction? Because right now, prices keep going and going and going. And what she's talking about is basically $7,000. I can see that over the cost of a build coming in play.
I have a very good answer for that question.
Okay.
We do not have escalator clauses in our contract.
Okay, good.
So the price is the price.
The price is the price.
Cool.
Now, is that like the greatest thing ever or what? So with that, yes, we're absorbing all of those costs right now, and they have been significant, and there have been delays, which also cost the builder money too. So whether that's whichever builder it is, understand that so we say, okay, hey, we're signing a contract and we're expecting the close to happen this date. So every time that gets moved, it costs the builder money too. So it's not just that the buyer is experiencing that, it's also costing the builder. So, but our contracts, we do not have escalator clauses in that.
We're going to have some fallout. just because the rates have gone up. So something you know, did
I can't do anything about the rates, but
yeah, none of us can. But you know, somebody was qualified for something and now they're not qualified for that. So all the builders are going to be experiencing some of that fallout because of the rate change too.
Do you try to get them qualified maybe at a higher price, like knowing what build in a 10 or 15% cushion?
We did like last year, we
beginning?
weren't so much, you know, but now we're like, okay, you know, do they qualify at 7%, you know? But yeah, we can have some fallout. Not at the moment. Because I know that we have like an upfront rate lock, and I'll go into a different thing, but because of the permitting, we are not sure how long it's really going to take. So that becomes part of the issue of locking it in. And like, I work with Oksana Sherman a lot at Suncoast Credit Union, and I asked her about her rate locks, and she goes, it depends, you know? So there's a whole lot of, it depends how long can you lock it for each scenario. If it's a primary home, second home, you know, have we completed permitting? Right. Yeah. Maybe we could lock it in then for a year.
Conventional VA.
Is that different on a construction to perm, rather as opposed to just a perm loan?
We have extended locks. If it's an end loan, we do also have extended locks, but then that becomes, you know, when are we really going to get it done? And every time you have a rate lock extension, then it costs money. So those are problems too.
So the key is to stay in contact with you every single moment during the process.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you hit it on the head as a permit, because I've been doing a lot of land sales, and I always build in there that they have to have all their permits for their house and everything before we close on a lot.
Okay.
And then we're able to lock the rate with a lot of the lenders we've been working with. So I think that that's probably the big difference, that permit isn't the taking.
Yeah. So
that's kind of a wild card.
And it is. So we talked about this. So this is, now that is it okay if we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go to the, let's see. All right. So let's talk about the construction process. So to your point, permitting. So depending on what you need to know, and my second thing when we get back a little bit later and how you guys engage will be understanding the process and where you're at. And when I say the process, where is the builder in the process? So you might come to us when we're still in the permitting process, but yet I put it on an available list. That's information that you want to make sure you're asking, whether it's us or any other builder. Are you in for permit? When you expect the permit, when you got to pick up the permit, those kind of things. If we already have the permit in hand, then when is that construction actually going to start? And so depending on the builder, they might have, okay, we can do so many starts a day. So, or a week, something like that. So those are the questions. And again, ask questions, because again, we're all still a team, but we want to make sure that we are giving you accurate information and that you're asking the right questions. So if you're not concerned, or I think that you already know, I may not offer that information. Make sense? I always try to, but other builders may not. So let's talk about the new construction process a little bit. So permitting right now, depending on the municipality that you're in, that's taking about 4 months. Yeah.
Depending if they close down.
Yes, depending on the municipality, you can look up to 4 months for that permitting process.
It would take worse than we counted.
It depends. Yes, it depends. Isn't that what the answer somebody gave? Yes. Yes, and it does.
Do you do the permitting yourself, or do you use a third party?
No, we do. We have in-house. We have in-house permitting folks, and there is an advantage to that because they're managing all of our permitting. Now there is a thing, if you've ever heard of it, there is a third party provider, and that is different than the permitting. We handle all of our permitting, but some of the inspections that wherever it's allowed, whatever municipality allows that, we do have our own inspections on certain things. Now, that's not to say that they're just signing off on all of our stuff. They have very specific criteria that they have to follow as well. So it is not as if, hey, it's our own inspector doing, somebody on our staff. We do contract with them, but that helps certain municipalities move along a little faster in terms of that inspection process. So does that kind of answer that question? Okay. So like I said, permitting is taking about 4 months, 4.5. depending on municipality. So for example, with Cape Coral that shut down recently, I think if anybody's been doing new construction, they've heard about that. And it was, we were pulling our hair out as well. And then they changed to the EnviroGov system, which is also making everybody pull their hair out. Now, if you go up to Charlotte County, their permitting process is a little bit smoother, but they have more steps to it. So where their permitting process might be, maybe 3.5 months versus that 4 to 4.5 months. It's just different information that they require. So for example, in Charlotte County, they require something that they call the tree points. Anybody know what that is? Okay. So a tree point is something that has to be done at the time that we survey the lot that we are going to build on. And what they want to know is where are the trees on the lot, and they're going to only let you have, specifically clear certain trees. So where are you going to place the house, and what kind of trees are on there? And the point of that is so that they can keep as many native trees and get rid of the exotic trees without totally scraping the lot. Now there is another option where you can buy what they call buying out and scrape the lot, and that makes that process a little bit faster. So
What does that cost?
I would have to ask the permitting department, but yeah, so my card will be in the packet, and just send me a quick text and remind me to ask.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is it like, $500 or $5,000,
I just, before I speak off the top of my head, I think it's right. But it's, I believe it depends on what type of tree is on there, is the way that they described it to me. So I will get back with them, and I will be able to answer that question. So sorry, I don't have that answer right now. Okay, so a little bit about permitting. Any other questions on permitting that you're seeing through anything else?
She was just saying, if anybody asks questions, can you repeat them, because they can't hear the questions, because you're mic, we're not.
Oh. My mic's on? Oh, okay.
So my question would be on permitting. You're talking about permitting the house. What if they're doing things other than that, like a pool?
Yes. So with that, now this is just with regard to Douglas Brook Homes. So we do not do pools or fences. Any other builder, they may do something different. If you are working with a builder who does not offer an option for pools or fences or anything like that, remember that CO and move-in date. All of that exterior stuff is exterior stuff. You want to get your person in the house. Granted, they absolutely want to have their pool, and depending on whether their lot is landlocked and how all that equipment will go back. So I'm going to speak to what Douglas Brook Homes does. So we don't mind giving the permit or the survey at slab, so that way they can, your buyers can go and say, hey, here's how much space I have to work with. Here's the layout of the house, and here's how I can do my pool design, whatever their fencing is. Do not pull that permit before CO, because that will stop the CO process, because and then the closing process, because that's going to trigger on the title side. There's an open permit.
What does that do to you, Dawn, when you're financing the pool?
I don't have an answer to that, but traditionally, if the builder was going to carry it, they would put it into their package. Yes. And the builder has to pay the pool contractor. We would not be paying the pool contractor.
For everybody to remember.
Yeah, so that just winds up, in that case, it winds up as a part of the overall contract. And that's, other builders do it differently. I'm just saying that Douglas Brook Homes doesn't do pools or fences at this time. They may change their mind.
Right now, with everything being held up, it's probably smarter for them to wait regardless.
Probably.
Smaller down payment.
Yes. Yeah.
There's Donald.
Well, yeah, I did do that with an actual Lennar. He was a VA loan, and he wanted that pool bad. I'm like, look, we're not going to be able to do it. Just close it as a VA loan. He's like, okay. And I'm like, don't do anything with that money until after you close. I did the same thing to him. But he did have the money then to get like a small loan on a side loan and some down on it, so, we definitely always want to talk with everybody to make sure they're not doing the wrong thing, messing up their loan in, whatever builder they're working with.
Okay, so permitting questions. We'll probably come back to it too. All right, so the next step is site preparation. So that's basically whatever clearing is on the site. You're going to scrape the lot, load the filled dirt, grading and compaction. So everybody understands that a little bit. And if you don't, ask questions. So a lot of times that's going to be your start of construction. However, a lot of people also want to see at the moment they consider start of construction at the moment when that foundation gets poured. So in between here, what we typically like to do is once that foundation is poured, we will do a meet your construction superintendent. And that way you have a point of contact other than somebody on the sales team. And that helps a lot. They feel like, yes, I understand it. Even if they drive by and they see their construction superintendent on site, they feel more comfortable about engaging them. And at that, it can either be a phone call, because we do have people that are out of state. So it can be a phone call or it can be an on-site meeting. And that's helpful because what the other thing that we'll do is we'll take their floor plan and we'll walk them through it. So and we like to do that after the slab pour, so give them an idea of that. So once that the site is prepped and then that construction start, like I said, call our meeting, they form up for the foundation pour, and all of this stuff is kind of like going back and forth together. So we drill for the well, we start to install the septic. Now, here's the thing about septic install. So you start at the preliminary. So you dig down for it based on what that septic design, and that septic design is specific to the lot. And then you have to wait and get that inspected. And that's where we were running into a lot of problems, is that those septic inspections were taking up to 2 months. So at this point, when we did our initial, that was taking up to 2 months, and we could not move. We could do stuff in the interior of the house, and we were trying to push as much of that along as possible. But this was taking sometimes up to 2 months to just get that part done. Yeah. So with that, and we were in unprecedented times. It seems to be getting a little bit better. I won't completely say it's better, but a little bit better. But with that, the other thing that was happening is not only were they having problems, and it's not, we have just pent up demand. We have under construction construction demand, and we also had a supply issues. So, yeah, they are definitely understaffed, and that's why they shut down for that week and said, hey, all hands on deck. We've got to push as many of these permits through as we can. And that's specific to Cape Coral. Now, other municipalities had their own issues. So, okay, so then your exterior walls go up. So that's your block, okay? And then you got roof trusses and interior framing. So then the mechanicals go in. So that's all your rough-in, your electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. So what we like to do is do a pre-drywall walk at that time. So again, that can be, if somebody's out of state, that can be via like a Zoom or video FaceTime call, or it can be an on-site if they're local. So with that, what we want to do is show them what's behind their walls before that drywall goes up. And people like that because even at that interior framing stages, that they can begin to get an idea of how their home's going to be laid out, or how the room spacing and everything is. Once the drywall's up, then that's when you all usually like to show the houses, because then they can get a real sense of actually the layout of the house. Okay. But we like to show them what's going, behind their walls. The other thing that we just started doing now in our homes is you might've heard of it, Tyvek, where they put that pest control. So we're now doing that in addition. So so for the first year it's included, and then your buyers can then decide whether they want to continue that on. So so then you got your windows, your roof. So you've already got roof trusses up here, and then the rest of the work starts to happen. And then you got dry in. Then you go to drywall. So again, we're trying to, somewhere in here, we're trying to do that pre-drywall walk with them, and they don't have to do it. We always offer that. And the other thing I want to make sure that you guys understand is you all are also invited to that. We can't necessarily always work around you, and your schedule doesn't match up to their schedule, doesn't match up to our schedule, but we always invite you. So, and that from that point, then obviously all of the interior work starts. At the same time, then the exterior work is still going on. And then, so when the driveway install That's when the appliances and the final stages of all of your mechanical trims start to happen. And then of course, then you've got your punch walkthrough and your orientation. So that's just in general. Now let's talk about timing. We're already talking about how long that's taken. How long is this taking? So right now we are able to shorten that up. There was a time that it was taking about 8 months to complete a home. And prior to the pandemic and all the debacles, we were building a home in about 80 days. And we're trying real hard to get back to that. So that's not to say that is shoddy work. But please understand, we are a production builder. So with Douglas Brook Homes specifically, it is, here are the plans. There are no alterations. You know, and sometimes depending on the stage of construction, the colors have already been decided. So we have to order, let's go back to your windows. We have to order windows so far in advance that that's going to determine your exterior color or your client's exterior color of your house. So, so with the windows, it comes with the frame. So it's either bronze or white. So that's going to determine, and we have 3 different exterior colors, and we have other interior packages. So the further along we are in construction, the less opportunity I have to make changes, color changes for your client.
This is builder question.
Yeah.
Like smart homes with all the internet and all that stuff built in with the electrical.
Yes. So here's what we do in our sort of smart home package. I'll say sort of in all transparency. So we have a Wi-Fi enabled garage door opener. It still works as a garage door opener. You still get 2 clickers, but if you want to use it, it is Wi-Fi enabled. You can open it from afar. We have a video doorbell. We also provide cable pre-wiring. So, but beyond that, we probably are not your best smart home builder.
Would you work with this contractor if they wanted to do that?
We can certainly look at that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anything?
Yes.
Yes.
Disclaimer, he's a GC.
Okay.
But don't hold it against me.
I'll try not to.
2 things. Are you guys currently building spec homes?
Yes.
So you have inventory that's.
We have inventory that is in a certain stage of permitting and construction.
Okay.
Yes. So when I hand out the packets later, you're going to have that. And I have another set that should come out by the end of June. But those would be still just on the starting process. But yes, we do spec building. And remember, we're a production builder. So we basically what we do is spec building.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you do have a client that has their lot, they can choose one of our plans and we can certainly work with them.
Sure. And at the end of your process, do you offer a warranty?
Yes. Yeah,
How
that's
long is that warranty?
so so it's a 1 year, for lack of a better term, I'll call it the bumper to bumper.
Right.
Okay. And then it's a 10-year structural. So your bumper to bumper warranty is 1 year, and then you got a 10-year of structural, which is transferable. So I always tell people, it's like, hey, if you buy a house and 6 months later you end up selling it, make sure that your buyer, because it's a selling point, make sure your buyer knows that there's still 6 months left on that 1 year warranty, and then they still have that full 10-year warranty going on, or about 9.
Warrant the product.
Yes. Yeah.
Will you schedule a 11-month walkthrough with your buyer to go through and take care of any of those items?
We can certainly do that. I'm assuming that, are you still staying engaged? So we're still trying to figure out how we're going to stay engaged with you or with that buyer.
I'm
I mean,
assuming it's the buyer.
Again, so if you're kind of out at that point, we always try to. So the other thing I wanted to say too, so when we offer any of these walkthroughs that I talked about, or if your buyer contacts us directly, and they do, number 1, register your client always. Number 2, even if they contact us without you, they don't include you on an email, they call us, they might text me, something like that. When I respond to them, I will always copy you guys on it. So you know what their questions are, you know what their concerns are. And remember, we're a team. So help me, help you. And you help me, help me.
Point about that touch point, especially for those of us who are selling new construction 11 months out.
Yeah.
Well, your warranty's about to come up,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And that's a really good thing. And then they could upgrade their warranties.
Yeah, if they want to. And again,
as
so the
well.
warranty company, so for us, we are using a third-party company to manage that. And it's RWC warranty. So it's like a what is that? HBW. I changed their name.
Yeah.
You know,
got it down.
right. So it's the same sort of situation. So their goal also is to try to upsell. So they're absolutely reaching out to these folks. Yeah.
I'm going to touch on one thing. I hope
Yeah.
you can. You were talking about the warranty that's going with the new construction.
Mhm.
So that's John Jones contracts with Douglas Brooks to build the home.
Mhm.
But if they do that as a spec and they resell that within that first year, that warranty, what is the status of that warranty?
So the status of that warranty is wherever that sale happens. So these are in the packet. I'm sorry, I just grabbed yours out of here. So in your package, you'll have this as well. So that'll describe that. But my point is to make sure, and this is just the general flyer. So at the point of contract signing, they will get a sample warranty book. Then also they will get a sample warranty book when we do that final walkthrough orientation. And then at closing, they're going to get another sample warranty book. So if they lost all those warranty books in between there, you know, after they close, they're still going to be mailed one. And then it's going to have their names on it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, what I was thinking of is that sometimes some of our customers actually contract to build the home.
Yes.
And then they resell it.
Yes.
So that bumper to bumper, that 1 year builders.
Oh, you mean
law warranty?
Yes.
You know, where does that go? And I think that's where a lot of realtors run into.
Okay.
It's because they're hearing you say bumper to bumper, 10-year warranty.
Yeah.
But now it's not the original person who built that house, you know?
Right. And
it's not
so,
Douglas Brooks, it's
so
now
in
John Jones selling it.
right. So, but in that sense, that still falls under this.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you repeat what we're talking about.
So what she's asking about, and to make sure that we're covering this. So when you guys have your clients, they come in, they buy a house, they closes. Okay. After that, then when they sell the home, they are selling the home. They may come back to you and say, hey, help me sell my home, but they're the ones selling it. Whatever's left on these warranties transfers over. It is a selling point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
what you want is you want them to come back to you when they're done with our homes and they want to move on, right?
That could be different from the different warranty companies.
It could be,
Correct.
yes.
So that's one
Yeah.
you always have to ask.
Yeah. So you'll always want to ask that question. So I see where you're going with that. So yeah. So make sure that is part of that warranty is transferable. So
We have a question online. You said it was an 8-month process for construction. Is that including permitting or after permitting?
So right now we're probably, I'm going to say that's going to be about a middle of our permitting process when I can say, hey, this is what we're looking at in terms of what we're seeing right now and our availability. We've tried to buy because we're a production builder. So we try to buy as much as we can. And we've got storage units all over the place, holding windows, holding cabinets, whatever. So what we're trying to shorten down to is an 8-month building process based on what we're understanding right now is our availability to have materials. So some of them might be shorter. Like for example, when I hand out the list, you're going to see, like, say, if you have a client that come in, they're going to sign a contract today. I'm looking at an October, November move-in date. Does that make a little bit of sense? Okay.
You got thumbs up.
Okay.
I got a question.
Yes.
You guys doing the concrete subjects or the plastic?
We are doing, so you're a septic contractor? So what we're doing is the low profile. Does that make sense to you?
The plastic ones?
Yes. Yeah. So that way we try not to, here's the other thing. I just thought about this so that everybody understands. So sometimes you might walk up to a house and you might be showing a house. So you're going to call me up and you say, hey, I have a client that's interested in this particular model. And I would look through and say, okay, because we don't have a model. You can go to our showroom. Okay. But I would have to find, hey, this is the furthest, the one based on what they want, this is the couple of places that I can take them, or we can all take them to, and based on what they want. Now, when you walk up to a certain place, you might see where, wow, it looks like you got this huge, steep grade. We don't get to decide that. Your buyer doesn't get to decide that. It is based on the house, the lot, the septic design. Does that make sense? So if you see, like, if you walked up to, you know, places and you go, wow, why is that, you know, why is that grade over here different than this grade over here, different than the last house that you just took me to? Because it is lot specific. If that makes some sense. I know I got off on a tangent, but we're still on a new construction process, right? Okay, do we want to move on? Any other questions? Yeah.
I don't know if do you want to cover this now or later, but we were talking outside about septic versus city water and sewer and areas that are in that transition area.
Yes. So with that, oh, I left them up here. Okay, so well, we can even talk about it now. We're still in the construction process. So I just brought as a sample. And so one of my things is to make sure that you all also understand it. So know your areas, know what's going on. So whether that is whatever community you might be selling in, or whether on a scattered lot situation. So this is just one example. Here's one of the maps that we have. We do hand these out to people, but we go through, this is just the Realtor map. You'll recognize it all, right? So, right. So what we do is we go through and we just highlight, and that way we can describe what all these highlights mean. So this highlighting that we do on our maps that we hand out is specific to this pink area here is opportunity zone. So if you've got an investor, they might want to be in an opportunity zone because then they can take things out of 1031 exchange or out of a stock, and they can put it in real estate. So that allows asset class changes. The other thing here that we are highlighting, so this is north 2. This is North 1. North 1, as you all might know, has been separated into North 1A and North 1B. So you don't have to know all of the details, but just have a general idea of that. So for example, right now we are no longer buying in North 1 because it's kind of still squirrely in terms of when they're going to start and what their overall timetable for completion is going to be. I also have these, I can pass these around as well. This will give you the North 1 timeframes, and then this will give you the overall timeframes. So all of this stuff is available through the city of Cape Coral. Now, if you go up to Charlotte County, they have certain areas that have city water, but yet you're still going to be on septic. Then they have well and septic, and then they have various versions of that. So for example, like where I live personally, I have city water, but I have a septic tank. At a certain point, I know they're going to make me. I'm not looking forward to that.
Well, their constitution doesn't want it. They voted it out, so like you get the choice all the time.
Yeah. So with that, again, we're not expecting you to know everything, but if you can educate your clients on a general idea of some of the things they might expect is a good thing. And again, I just brought the stuff from Cape Coral just because that's what I had.
So okay, so if the city of Cape Coral, it knows that they're going to be going into, I guess, a 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
Next one, will they allow you to pull a permit or require you to pull a septic on there, knowing that in 8 months it's going to be?
Yes. So I see where you're going with that.
Yeah,
so yeah. So with that, yes, we can still pull permits and we can still build. North 1 is why we're not buying or building in North 1. I mean, we still have homes that we're going to finish that are in there, but we are not buying lots in North 1. And the reason being is because at a certain point they will stop. So they will allow us to pull a permit. And if we don't have that home completed before that, they're saying, okay, we're starting down your street. So now you got to stop. And then you have to take out that septic. There's 2 different ways you can do it. You crush it or so that's that. And then you're stopped until they're finished. So that's why we're a little squirrely and trying to just make sure for ourselves and for our buyers that we're not putting them in that situation. So I know that they just said that the construction plans on that are only about 90% complete. So it is delayed, but it's still something that we're just a little bit uncomfortable with in terms of being in that area. Answer some of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anywhere else, and eventually, as you all know, the city of Cape Coral is going to make everyone hook up. But in the meantime, yes, we can still build, we can still pull septic permits, we can still, have people closing, et cetera.
So it's just timing for them.
It's just
as to
timing.
where they're going to build, which
Mhm.
can make a difference in where we're
Yeah.
bringing them.
Yeah.
because Dawn's going to go.
Yeah. So the other thing, let's talk about this. If you have what we call internally, we call them, what's the critters?
Oh, yeah.
Gopher tortoises, owls, do you know their nesting seasons? Now, I'm not expecting you all to know that, but when we have delays, for example, when I was preparing the list of offerings, I held 2 of them off of there because I know they have gopher tortoises, meaning that even though we might have that permit in hand, I can't do anything until July. And then I got to go to my construction department and they're going to go, okay, so now once we already have the environmental permits, but how many other permits does he have that he's going to now, and how long is that going to take him to remove? And then they're going to be able to tell me how long. So if this is our technical true start date, when I'm prepping the site, which would be my construction start, because I can't do anything before we either remove the owls, the gopher tortoises, or anything else that's on there. So from that point, then I would be able to give a more accurate sense of when that home will be completed. That's why I've held that, I have a couple that are like that. I've held them off the list. I'll be passing out to you guys. Does that help out with that too? Yeah. So understand, like in Charlotte County, you have, so here's the owls. In Charlotte County, you have scrub jays. And then but in Charlotte County, they have a federal take permit. So you just pay the $2,200 and yeah.
For Charlotte.
Yeah. But it's always easier and cheaper to just avoid those areas. But
Do not bury the
no,
nest
yes.
growing out. You will be in.
Yes. And we've had to tell people that. So I had a couple that moved down from New York and they're like, what's a gopher tortoise? What is it? They wanted to go and look at it. I'm like, do not. They were like, apparently somebody called because they were on site. I'm like, do not, please do not breach the silt fence. Do not do that. You will, don't put a camera down. Don't do anything. I know you want a picture of it. Don't do anything because you could potentially be arrested for harassment. And the people out of the area, they don't understand that. So that's touching on that a little bit. I'm gonna move on. Okay, so this goes back to what I said before, register your client. Repeat it after me, register your client.
Yeah.
So
Levels of registration.
right. So with registering your client, make sure that you read all your little fine print. So for Douglasbrook Homes, we do not pay, we pay, what is a commissionable price? The base price is a commissionable price. So now that is on the new construction. If I already have a house that has already, like I haven't sold it and we're in the middle of construction and there's no further opportunity to add any upgrades. So let's say I've already added everything I possibly can. And then that price that I put out there is the price that's commissionable. But on a new construction, if then they come in and decide, okay, I want this, this house and this is the lot and everything, then they decide, okay, I want the move-in package, I want to add tile throughout. That's not commissionable. And this might be where you can help me too, Miss Dawn. So sometimes we do a gross up. Makes sense to everybody?
Sounds like an opportunity.
It's not commissionable though. Yeah.
They can load it into their mortgage,
Right.
but it's not loading it into our pocket.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
And is that only if they choose the upgrades later, or if in the original contract they're already choosing certain upgrades? Is that?
That's a good question. So let me recap that. So let's say I've got a house that's in the middle of construction, and here's the price that I've already put on that house. Or let's say let's say the house is completed, but yet there's still an opportunity for them to come back and say, hey, I want the move-in package, which our move-in package is blinds, supplied and installed, paper towel and towel racks, or toilet tissue paper holders, and a mailbox. And please know, unless you're in a community, pretty much you're not going to get a mailbox. So that's going to be an upgrade. Yeah. Am I right?
Great present for a realtor. Bye.
So I know people go, what? Yeah. So, or a screen lanai and things like that. So if that has already been scheduled for that home and that's the price, including all of those upgrades, then yes, that would be a commissionable price. Now, if that has not been scheduled and this is something that those folks selected, say, let's say I've got a house at a certain point that is still an opportunity, and you say, hey, my buyer says, okay, I want this house, but I had not planned it for any of those things, then it would be on that base price of that house. Because sometimes we do, on occasion, we do go through and maybe screen lanai or do something because maybe we need a little bit more of a model sense to something that we've been maybe sitting on for a little bit.
Okay.
So that maybe that doesn't seem like I answered the question.
Yeah. Do you, are they allowed to choose their home and upgrades, or do you have certain homes that you're putting on certain lots?
We do. It's certain, yes,
Okay.
because we have to move so quickly and we have to permit because we're not sitting on lots. We don't have an inventory of lots that we're just sitting on. If once I take down a lot, we move. We're flying off the shelf and moving forward.
Can a customer buy their own lot and bring that to you?
Yes.
That's going to be, that's
Yes.
But not with their modified, they just have your, let's say 5 plants, is the plant built.
Yes. Yeah. And then they can add, but at that point, then that would be commissionable in terms of, hey, this is what they want, because that's already decided in the beginning and that's on their lot. Yeah. So if that helps out too. Does that help out? Anybody other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Plus you get commission.
I was going to say that next. So yes, so you get kind of double-sided there. So certainly something to consider. Again, not everybody likes our plans, and I understand that. So, but hopefully, within that, we try to make it very easy and working with you guys, and also, try to have some plans that make sense. So, back to this. So register your client. Understand what a commissionable price is. The other thing here is make sure that, again, very fine print, okay? Make sure that at what point does that builder, whether it's us or any other builder, wants you to engage with your client, coming on site with them for that first point of contact or not. So for us, we don't mind if somebody calls us, maybe asks us questions, something like that, but I need to know, and we always ask, are you working with a realtor? And I always say to them, it doesn't matter. For us, it doesn't change the price. So if you're working for a realtor, that's somebody that's working for you. So please just let me know who it is, and I'll make sure any point of contact we have from now on is going to include your realtor. Does that help out you guys?
Yeah, they think it's more expensive for some reason.
not.
So
We're going to go around to my realtor.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense.
We still have to bring that client to you as an introduction.
We prefer that, but not necessarily. So on our fine print, which you guys will get a copy of this too, is we need one of these before we go to contract signing. So they can certainly come in. I can show them around the showroom. I can even take them out on tours. But at a certain point, they need to tell me that they're working with you, and I will immediately contact you guys and say, hey, I've already met with them. Please send me over registration.
So Candy could call you and say, John and Sally are interested possibly in Douglas Springs homes. I want to get them registered. And then they
Yes.
email you over a form.
Yes. Yeah. Or if they've already contacted me, the point is get that form in, certainly to us. I'm not sure how other builders handle it, but certainly to us, get that form in as fast as you can. And like I always say and maybe you'll say something different. If you have a buyer that you think might be interested in new construction, register them everywhere.
Yeah. We have no problem on our end.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't say
Would
your
you agree?
entire contact list to it.
No, but I'm
there
just
are
saying.
Realtors who have done that.
Yeah.
It's just not reasonable.
Yeah. So, but we're not trying to steal any buyers from you guys, and we will always keep you informed. So, yes, ma'am.
How often do we have to review that?
Right now, we're very flexible, but it's every 90 days. Yeah, but
Some builders say 30 days, so just be aware.
yes, that's another thing. Yeah.
You don't realize that mark your calendar to remind the builder you're still working with those folks, because that's not.
And that's a good point.
Yeah, they change their mind and not want to build, and they build 5 years later. You can't go back and go check that person.
And there are certain big box national builders
Yeah.
that we won't
They're
say,
It's 30
but
days.
they will do anything to
30 days.
take the realtor out.
Yeah. And what I try to do is find every which way to keep you guys involved, informed, and watch out for you guys as well. My thought is we're a team. So, and I know that you might have heard that from other people that came in and talked to you, but like I said, we're a local / regional builder. I don't ever want us to get, as we're growing the company, I don't ever want us to get, too big that we are not going to be looking out. You guys are my extended sales team. I can't do it all and be everywhere. So
talk about the buyers who like to walk through all of the house while it's under construction and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So let me just clarify. I understand exactly what you're saying. So the buyers who want to walk their house while it's under construction without any supervision. Yeah. Am I right? Okay.
Yeah, like on their way home from work.
Yes. So that's, and I think this goes back to, know your role in your engagement process. So sometimes they are going to engage directly with us, even though they love you guys. Then they think they got a direct contact with the builder, and they're going to try to, just deal with it because they think they're going to get a faster answer. So any engagement that I have with your buyer, I'm always going to, because again, they may email me, they may text me, they may call me, but my response is going to always include you. And they will drive past their house, and they will come on site, and they will ask questions. They will point out things that they don't like. And this is where I have to come in and say, well, look, remember this house, because in our contracts, we include the copy of the plan, all those things, because I've got one right now where he is saying, well, this bathroom isn't big enough. Sorry, if you want, we can cancel your contract and you can have your money back. He goes, why do you say that to me? I'm like, well, because that's the only option that I have to give you. So either you take the house as it is because you signed off on it, and this is, if you wanted to know, and we've already done all the walkthroughs with this gentleman. So he took his tape measure out, all of that stuff, but then he came back afterwards and did it on his own, and then decided, because then he had a friend come down and decided that the bathroom wasn't big enough. That happens. We are here to help you with that, because you're going to get that too. Because if they don't get the answer out of me that they like, they're going to call you guys next. Am I right?
That was nasty to me. She wouldn't do it.
She would, right, exactly. She won't give me what I want. So with that becomes like a little bit of a expectation management and a little bit of nuancing between the three of us. So, or I guess the two of us, and then nuancing back to them. So however helpful I can be, and again, I will let you guys know if they contact me directly and don't bring this up to you, I'll let you guys know. Does that help answer that question a little bit? Okay. All right. So scattered lot versus community, like I said, know the difference, know the area. We already talked about that a little bit. Learn the builder's product. So for example, in a community, it's probably a little bit easier because, hey, here's the community, here's all the amenities, whatever. On a scattered lot, in opportunities where they have some plan choices, might be a little bit different. So for example, with Douglas Brook Homes, we have several different plans, and then we also have spec levels. So you can have, our base spec level, our gold spec level, and our platinum spec level. What I always like to do is if you guys want to call up and make an appointment, I say, come out and learn our product first. I won't take up much of your time, but that makes you better equipped to help me sell my product. So always available to do that. I would say make an appointment, because right now I'm a little short staffed, but make an appointment and I will run you guys through whatever you want to know. And we have some videos and I will run through all of those as well. So again, trying to be a team, but I say when you know the builder's product, so that especially on scattered lots, I mean, in a community, it's a little bit different, but on a scattered lot, I would say definitely know the area and know the builder's product. And again, ask questions on the contract and the construction, allow time for answers. So especially on the construction side, because I'll get, hey, what's the status of this house? Okay, well, now I have to turn around and I have to go and ask the construction department. I have to ask the permitting department. And then I'm like, that doesn't make sense, guys. So then it takes me another couple hours to say, question them on a couple things and to get a true answer. So don't expect an answer in an hour. Sometimes don't expect an answer by the end of the day, but certainly by the next day, I should be able to get back to you, because I question them too. I'm like, nah, that doesn't make sense to me. And that's part of what my role is as well. Our sales team's role is to question, you know, what, you know, did you look at this correctly? That's not what I have in my notes, et cetera. Does that help out?
And I think from a lender standpoint, that same thing happens. You know, people are like, why don't you know this right now? Oh, I don't know. The underwriter's sick. She's you know,
Right, exactly.
on vacation. I have to get somebody else. Yeah. So we always have to, you know, give a little bit of time, reasonable time for answers. And I always say, you know, at least a day or two is always, you know, a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, you're right. Setting expectations up front so that the customer knows the rules of the game.
Yeah. Then contract related paperwork, when you're dealing with new construction, that's typically going to be handled by the builder's sales team. So like if there's a change in lender, or if there's a change in lender, at least for us, notify immediately. Remember, we don't have any in-house. You guys can use your buyers can use any lender that they want, but there is a clause in the contract that says within 5 days of the lender change, you need to let the builder know. So to keep in mind on the contract. Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys just do construction firm? Or do you do loans?
That'll be a Dawn question.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, as a builder, sometimes you guys will allow or not.
You do mostly just end loans.
Yes.
You do, okay.
Yeah. But we, on a construction to perm, if something like on your lot sort of situation, then we would do a construction to perm. But again, I don't know that all lenders, you know, offer that. So I pretty much leave the lending side to the lending professionals.
As long as you're on there, can we just segue
Yeah,
out just
yeah,
a little bit?
absolutely.
When we're talking about preferred lenders in your product, talk about FHA, VA,
Mhm.
USDA, et cetera.
Yeah.
I mean, because as far as builders being qualified and then.
So yes, we will take FHA loans, VA loans. Again, we're on scattered lots, so it would just be depending on wherever we're at in terms of whether that area. So the USDA there's only specific, that's very specific in the areas that's allowed. Other than that, that would be more of a lending question, but yes. So
Already.
yes, yes, we already have our VA approval. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was no delays for any of the traditional type products.
Right, like the onesie twosie builders, they go, oh yeah, we'll do VA, and then that's like.
They have no idea that they have to
yeah,
register. Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
so-
So we're already VA approved.
And then all your homes are already compliant. Or if they need something for FHA or for, I think it's FHA, right? They have certain requirements.
Yeah, the bill.
All of that, is that not with construction?
Yeah, you won't have.
Construction's gonna be a safe home. They're looking for issues that might not safe.
Yes.
There's like a little packet of, you know, FHA or VA that they would know how to fill out.
Yes. Yeah. There's paperwork that we have to fill out as a builder that on the resale you wouldn't necessarily always have. But you had a question?
Well, kind of segues into that. Do you have a handicap accessible model?
We do not. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Well, no, but we don't have a plan that is, yes.
That deals with specifically.
There's one builder in town that is filling that niche. I forgot the name of it right now. Yeah, but they're working specifically for the handicapped community, and they've got a very narrow niche with it. I mean, regular people can buy the house and you wouldn't really know when you're walking through the home, but it's basically.
Yeah, they do a good job of it.
they
Yeah.
really- I forgot the name of it, but they do a really nice handicap.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like an institutional type.
Mhm.
It's really
Yeah.
Curiosity.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a great.
That's a good question,
You
yeah.
have people that, and especially when you think about aging in place now, as you
Mhm.
get into your 60s, you start looking at that.
I did a 26-inch joist wall, but confidence.
Okay.
Question online was, does the Hometown Heroes program cover the new builds? Hometown Heroes program?
Great question. And I know the answer. If it's
You
an,
have to ask the question.
Yeah, they can't hear you.
Okay,
They can't hear me.
the question is, can Hometown Heroes be used with the new construction? If it's an end loan, the answer is yes. If it is a construction to perm, the answer is no. Yep.
Can you explain what the difference is between those? I'm not-
Yep. An end loan is the builder carries the entire cost, and then at the time they have certificate of occupancy, the buyer that had signed a contract with them is getting a regular loan, whether it be a construction or a conventional FHA, VA, USDA, could be, you know, a portfolio loan, whatever the loan is. They're, you know, getting it after the house has been built. A construction to perm is you're signing in order to build the home, and there's a draw schedule. There's an approved, you know, get your builder approved, you know, run it through the construction department. So it's a lot more work. I think you guys tend to like being in control, I think, more of your situation.
Yes, so we are primarily, like I said, again, a production builder on spec home, but we do on your lot stuff, and we can, there's no problem with us getting approved with on construction to perm loans. That would be a little extra paperwork on our side, and then just working to their draw schedule. So let's talk about the draw schedule real quick. So the draw schedule on a construction to perm loan might look a little bit different than, say, my draw schedule when I take down my construction loan. But again, it's still a draw schedule. So it's not rocket science. So we're used to working with that because we already do it. You want to cover?
Yes, I can. So talking about draw schedules, just to give you a little bit of background, American Eagle Mortgage formerly merged with Cross Country Mortgage, which has a fabulous construction department. So we're actually a division within Cross Country now, CCM. 400 plus of us came in as a division. So we're very large inside of, you know, the tool house that they have. So their construction department, I, you know a little bit, you know, still learning a lot about it, but they do customize the draw schedules because everybody's draw could be different. So they're going to, in that builder package that you send in, they are taking a few weeks to get the builder, you know, approved, basically, you know, make sure all the paperwork's correct. But they're going to ask the builder, what do you want your draw schedule to be? Because sometimes they vary. We actually have the ability to do manufactured homes. Your draw schedule is going to be, you know, half up front because you got to pay for the delivery and the home itself. Then you start working on it. So every draw schedule is customizable to how many draws does that particular builder think that they need. And it is going to look different for everybody. And, you know, they're going to work with that.
And in that situation, we, as a builder, we like that flexibility because depending on which area, like to your point, also on the home at the manufactured homes, is because now you got to put all that up front because you got to build the house and then deliver it. It's not the same way as a bricks and sticks kind of home is. And then, but then all of that is site work, et cetera, to prepare to receive that. But yeah.
Buyer's costs involved during the draw process.
The interest only, is that what you're?
Whatever they're going to pay.
Okay.
And I don't know.
So typically, whenever you're doing a construction to perm, there is a period of construction, whether it be 9 months, 12 months, it could be longer. So that's where when we started talking about that rate, sometimes we want to really know when we want to lock our rate in, when we get where we need to go. But during a construction build, there is an interest only payment due on the funds that you have drawn. And right now they moved it up to 6.99%. So during that time, the buyer may have to pay some payments each month on the house being built. Sometimes the builder will build them in to have the money for them to pay it. So there's different ways it can be handled, and it is going to be builder specific. But they may have to make some payments
during that time. Whereas on, like a spec, user, they won't have to do that until.
Because they're carrying completely the entire cost versus the buyer doing it themselves.
So last thing just on this, so closing preparation is still going to be the same way that if you're closing a resale home. So remember, you got to remind them, hey, they've got to have their own insurance. You're still going to be dealing with the lender, the title company interaction, making sure that, we've got something that's set up. I'll be a part of that as well. Then of course, day of closing walkthroughs. Sometimes people do it, sometimes they don't. All of that needs to be coordinated. So, but again, that's just pretty typical what you guys would do on a resale anyway, right? All right, so let's see what I got up next. All right, so I'm going to leave that up for right now, and I let Dawn take over for your portion of it, and we can always, there's going to be in a packet that's not very good looking, is it?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. I'm not leaving, but
in your spec homes that are partially under construction, I assume those are released at some point for you to put on the open market, stuff, right?
Yes.
Are you doing any kind of bidding for those homes when they come
No.
out, or is it a price to price?
The price is the price.
Okay.
And what happens though is that at first come, first serve. Here's what I need to go under contract. I need to know that this is the location that they want. I need a pre-approval letter. And so that I can write up the contract, I need their driver's licenses and all of their contact information, because that way I can just write up the contract. Again, remember, we're always going to be talking before that. You know, you'll have a copy of the contract. You can ask me any questions before that. So that way, when we come to sit down in our conference room to sign the contract, that way you can also help explain the contract. And I want to, again, set you guys up for success so that it looks like, not looks like, but that you know exactly how our contract reads out. And if you've got concerns, let me know. Sometimes I might say, hey, there's nothing I can do about that, and that's the contract. There might be other things that I might be able to do something about.
And so you release them to MLS, or are they released via email to?
They're released via email. So yeah, so we're not putting them on MLS.
Okay.
So I probably won't put anything on MLS, which is why register your client.
Right.
Okay. I probably won't put anything on MLS until we have to start sitting on product again. Because otherwise it just becomes just another thing I have to manage on MLS.
What kind of deposit you guys have to take?
Okay, so on the deposit, we can be a little flexible on that, but it's a minimum of 3,000. But I can in certain situations go down to 1,000.
That's like nothing. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay.
And if
I
you're
have to-
using down payment assistance, a lot of times we got to skinny it down, or they have to save it. And
Right, and that's why depending on the situation, I can go down to 1,000 or.
And there are situations, I mean, like I get a lot of these young Coast Guard kids that come in and they don't, they're 18 years old, they have nickels.
Yeah.
So sometimes we do have.
And that's why, I mean, I did say this out in the public. So we can go down to 1,000. Typically, we like a minimum of 3,000. And then I still have people that, just want to go ahead and get the money out of their hands, I guess, and put down 10,000. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. When do the people get paid?
Oh, these people? These people? So you'll get paid at closing. So that when you close with Atlas Title, so depending on however do you want them to mail a check, etc. So all of that's going to be worked out with Atlas Title, but we get you guys paid as quickly as possible. So it could be a pickup check at that point. Again, remember on closing, sometimes here's what we do. Because we are still using outside title company and we are still using outside lenders. Sometimes if you have a closing at 4 o'clock, that doesn't mean that I can verify funds are in. Right?
2 o'clock don't count.
Right. Therein lies where I'm going. So, but if we can verify, if Atlas Title can say, yes, I see it's in process, then we will say, go ahead and release keys. So that your buyer, because let's say that's on a Friday, they want to use their weekend to move in. So we'll go ahead and release keys. But your check may not be mailed out until that Monday or Tuesday, or be available to pick up to that Monday or Tuesday. Does that answer that question a little bit?
What is your question percentage?
3%. Yeah, and it's in your registration.
Of a commissionable amount.
Of the commissionable amount, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, Michelle.
Rochelle, but yes,
Rochelle.
I answer that too.
Can I make one small suggestion?
Yes, sir.
On your presentation?
Yes, sir.
For the follically challenged, can you not use pull your hair out? It takes me out of my system.
I got you. I can do that. I can do that. I will read.
That was
I like
good.
it.
Do you know why men lose their hair?
Because they're pulling it out for women.
Too many U-turns under the sheets.
That's
I
funny.
throw nasty in there just.
So I'm still here available to answer questions. So I'm gonna let Dawn take over from here. I can get rid of this too.
Oh, no, you can, I don't, I'm going to have to sit down for some of my construction portion, but y'all received your hometown heroes. This, in my opinion, is a great marketing tool. You should be calling your whole database. Just so you know, I keep a lead tracker. So on each page here is 25 leads. So for the month of May, I have almost 50 leads that came in, and half of them were hometown hero leads. I'm on their website as one of the lenders that know what they're doing. Be very cautious if somebody has not done one of these loans, because they're not going to know what they're doing, and it is going to be a headache. So there's a lot of knowledge that goes into being able to use one of the lenders that know how to set one of these loans up.
And you never want to have your closing delayed because of a lender who doesn't know what they're doing, but Dawn always does. So
I try not to have delays. I try. But this is one of those things, start calling past clients, just telling them that this is out there for people. So you have no reason to call people sometimes. This is a really good reason, although they might own a house, they know a daughter, a sister, a grandparent, it doesn't matter. Any reason to touch people and give them some information is a potential lead for you to get going. So I gave you the construction paper in order to have a little bit of, a flyer basically for a construction to perm. So this is going to be all builders. I'm not being specific to Douglas Brook Homes on this, but
she likes us best.
Yeah, of course. But the builder, you're going to get, in our environment, there's going to be a lot of questions on these construction to perm loans now. So that was one of the reasons that we did decide to merge with a company that had a very good construction department. I used to work at Fifth Third Bank, and not to say anything negative about them, but I stopped doing construction loans for people. I said, no, I just couldn't do it. And it was so much work because you as a loan officer were required to do all these things that you're not really qualified to do. So our construction to perm department, we basically hand them the lead. We get the file in, the people do have to be pre-approved. The builder does have a package. So all of this is going to probably take 60 days or less for the client to get pre-approved, the builder to be okay. And, what are we looking at and what can we afford? So that's kind of where we go with our construction. And, you might get frustrated, like, why is this taking so long? But there's a lot more points to it. You don't want to send your client to a builder who is financially unstable. You're going to get into a build in a half-built house, and then we're really going to have an issue. The biggest thing too is to never do anything to that lot until everybody's ready to go. Don't pull permits, don't scrape it, don't do anything, because we need to have it clean and nothing going on there. All right, so let me get into my high points of our construction. So we are doing our construction loans. We're in-house carrying it, but we're going to underwrite it to a conventional loan or a VA loan or an FHA loan. So a lot of lenders are not offering FHA or VA on construction perm loans, but we do have that ability. It's not just going to be a conventional. And mostly we're talking about primary homes. They do allow some second homes in the conventional, nothing on investment. So if you have an investor that wants a construction to perm, then we're probably going into a portfolio situation. It's going to be quite expensive. Okay.
They should use their 1030.
Yeah. Find any other way to do this. All right. There is no self-build, no self-help. Everything is going to be through the approved builder. We are looking at our maximum debt to income ratios are 45%. So they want to be a little bit conservative on them.
Does that matter whether it's FHA or VA?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me take that back. Conventional 45% retraction. A lot of it for the VA or FHA is going to be per the automated underwriting system. So it could be a little bit higher than 45%. But we want to start being cautious as those rates are moving around.
So when you do your factoring on that, do you project out what their taxes and things would be based on the finished home?
Correct.
Okay.
On the finished product. Okay. There is a website that can be a tax estimator. I know Lee County does have a tax estimator, so that makes it convenient. Not all counties have it, but we do have some simulators. We want to factor in, I tell people if you can stay out of a flood zone, that's probably a great idea. But if you have to, we need to know what that might be. And then we factor in, the insurance on everything's going to be, after it's been built. What do we think it's going to cost? So we want to make sure, I always tell people I like to have a few backup plans if possible. So maybe they have some debt that they're working on paying down. I might put a higher rate, and sometimes they get mad when they see their pre-approval, like, oh, you put 6% as the rate, it's 5.875. I'm like, I don't know, it could be 7 later, so we want to make sure that we're giving, some wiggle room if possible. And like I said, that's why you're going to see some of the homes, I think, come up on the market when those people were qualified at 3%. We can't get that, and raising the rate to almost 6, really blew out their debt ratio. Okay. And it is a one-time close. So we are closing on the front end. And factoring in, like we talked about, the draw schedules, working with that. So at the end of the loan, once we close it, then we internally are going to give it to whoever the investor might be as a conventional loan or an FHA loan or a VA loan. So that would be, selling servicing to whoever might be taking that particular loan from us. Okay, let me go into my next loan guide. I have a couple loan guides, so as you're seeing me flip through things that might be important.
Question.
Yep.
Because we're talking about maybe them buying their own lots. They need to have the contract with the lot and the home price together.
You can do it that way. You can have a lot. Yeah. And that would be something that we are coordinating with the department, the construction department. So I know that having the lot, getting the lot paid, getting the construction going. So that might be how much funds are being released up front too. Yeah.
So check.
Yeah. Check what I need to know. And, these are, for me personally, I haven't done a construction to perm loan, like I said, basically since Fifth Third Bank, but I did one time during, my current company that I'm with, do an FHA. And that was a very laborsome process. So I feel like that with having a dedicated team that's going to do these, not like a one-off where you're, relying on a, certain company, certain lender to handle everything. And you're, writing to their guidelines. So I feel like we're gonna have a little bit smoother situation. People, I call the bat phone, people to call, work it out for me, help me get it in, and, once we do a couple of them, then it becomes routine. And we just don't have a lot of lenders right now that we're really interested in doing construction to perm. So I think that we're heading in a positive direction with this. And I'm always going to be a lender that is up to trying new things. So some of your lenders, you might know, they're like, oh, if you don't have an 800 credit score and W-2, I'm not going to do your loan, So I'm always willing to, take that initiative, try to figure it out, and take the hard clients too. I mean, there's a lot of, potential deals out there, but we just sometimes have to work them, and they're harder than others. Okay. And we talked about the builder package. Our appraisal is going to have a subject to the plans and specs. We are going to be, I don't know exactly when we're going to be ordering that appraisal on a construction to perm. I do know on a end build, we're trying to wait for the property to maybe be 80-90% built in order to get our best prices. If it's too long, the appraisal expires after 4 months or 6 months, whatever it might be. And the lender might say, hey, we need a new one. So we want to make sure that we're closer. Look like you have a question.
Well, just thinking with appraisal, what if, I guess it's the what ifs. So they've already agreed to build this house, and the builders are, the buyers packing up their stuff because it's 70 days into the property, and now it doesn't appraise.
Yeah.
What happens to the buyer?
We'll probably have to renegotiate. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
So do they do an appraisal? Do you guys do a preliminary appraisal in the front? I guess that's what I'm looking at. And so like the builder charges $300,000 for the house, I hope, and then $50,000 for the lot. So now we're at $350,000. Do you do a preliminary appraisal? So
That I don't know the answer to.
I'm just trying to avoid a big blow up on this at the end, because then nobody's happy. And then we'll all get bad Google reviews.
Hold on a sec.
God forbid, we get a bad Google review.
I'm looking if we have a time frame.
Yeah, because the contracts, if we use a fire contract, that's going to have appraisal contingency kind of built into there and getting the financing. So all those little pieces are going to have to come into play as we do that. You hear me? Can you not hear me?
I got
No, they
can't
can't.
online.
Behind you.
But I can stand over here next to Dawn and I can talk while she's looking that kind of stuff up.
They don't necessarily say, and I'm just kind of going back to what happened, you know, when I worked at Fifth Third during the crash. You know, it's kind of like you can have an appraisal up front. What if our market goes down? They can call it and say we were requiring a second appraisal. That has happened before. You know, if prices drop and, you know, second review. Hopefully we're not going to see anything crazy like we did before, but I can only go to what we used to do. And my guidelines are just saying, you know, plan specs, you know, prior to closing. That's all I'm seeing in here. I don't have a specific date.
And the good part is they use really good appraisers. And I think that's really important for
Cross-country mortgage.
Cross-country mortgage. Yeah, because you guys have been doing loans like that for a long time.
Yeah. And like I said, we have our own team that came and we had our, you know, we pick who's on our list as appraisers. And I have actually won some appraisal disputes. So some people are like, you never win. And that's untrue. You know, if you come with some really good facts of why you think an appraisal isn't correct, you can't just be like, well, I spent $50,000 on that kitchen. Well, okay, they gave you $10,000 for it, you know, so you have to, you know, go with what the comps are. And we're not just like, it's not like Bank of America situation where they're just randomly pulling people out. I think that's your point, you know.
So your customer is going to depend on you. So be aware of what's going on in the market the whole time. Be prepared to help your customer out. Because if it falls apart, whose fault is it? It's never the vendor's fault. It's never the builder's. It's always our fault. So be proactive and be ready. But forewarn your customer too when the appraisal is going to come out, so that we can all be prepared together. Nobody's like freaking out on the 75th day. Okay, we knew this was coming. Here we go.
Yep. We are going to build in a minimum of a 2% reserve. And keep in mind that some of these loans, you might have change orders. So as you're doing any kind of construction to perm, you know, our loan amounts might change. They, you know, they might have to come in with a little bit more money. So there's always going to be a very fluid and moving, you know, can't be real stringent on this type of deal because like we know, you know, people come back and they're like, oh, I decided I wanted to have that big giant kitchen. And now your, you know, budget goes up 50,000 or whatever it might be, you know, so we just have to always make sure, like you said, communicating with everybody and, you know, what is the actual cost and, you know, keep the client like, hey, you're only qualified for this much too. You know, sometimes they get so excited that they're going to do something. And then, yes, we talked about, you can put extras in the pool, you know, things like that. But the builder has to be the one that puts it in the contract, takes care of everything, because the draws are only going to go to the builders, not to a subcontractor of any kind.
So what if the person already owns their lot? Can they use the money from the lot? Okay, talk about that for our people who are new to the area here.
Sure. So if somebody owns a lot, and let's say the lot is worth $50,000, there is going to be a value, an appraisal value put on your lot. So whatever that appraisal value might be, that does count as some of your down payment. It could count for all of your down payment, depending on what your loan is. But that lot equity is tangible money in our transaction, and it is factored in down payment, how much more you might be, you know, that kind of thing. And as our prices are going up, you know, we're actually seeing, you know, some positive there.
Is there a time frame that they have to have owned the lot before using that?
I don't believe so. Okay. But I think it's going to, you know, in most cases is what did you pay for it? Or 6 months or 12 months later, what's the appraised value of the lot? So there's usually some sort of time frame depending on the product that you're using for the construction of perm.
And now can an owner be their own GC here?
No.
Is that not?
If you have cash, you can do anything you want.
But you can't get a loan.
No,
No.
it has
And-
to be through an approved builder. They're going to want to see, usually they want to see like 2 houses or 3 houses that you've built. You know, there's ways that they want to vet a builder to make sure that you, the buyer, don't end up, because during the crash, we can only go through past experience. If none of you were here during that time, there was like what, hundreds of houses in Lehigh halfway built that sat there for a long time, you know, so we just don't want to, you know, hopefully we're learning.
And Douglas Brookhomes took over some of those.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And you'll run into where maybe someone is a plumbing contractor, and then they want to make a deal with the builder, like, well, I want to do the plumbing, you know. Yeah, they'll make ugly little faces at you, because the chances are no. Again, because you've got to get approved from the lender, and then the builder's got to get in there, and can you work within the time frame that they're trying to get it all done? So the best advice, any of your
there's insurance, there's property, you know, insurance that the builder has to deal with as well. So, I mean, understanding that they, you know, still own the lot, but at that point, you know, it's kind of our lot as well. So we're in there jointly. So we can't just, they have to be like what we call in our, you know, Douglas Brookhomes, they call it a trade partner. We have to make sure they're properly insured, and that we also vet that trade partner. So.
because then you were into that ugly little word of subordination on lots and things like that. We're not going to really go into that kind of stuff. But if you have a lot, that's the first thing you want to do when you talk to any builder at all. Do we subordinate? How are we doing the ownership of the lot through the construction loan as well?
Yep. So if anybody has a builder that they, you know, want to get approved, there is a builder package. I can always email it. Yes, I was just going to tell you. I know you need one of those. You know, just like anything, working with a team, you know, if there's something that I don't know, Rochelle doesn't know, you know, we always have to go and find the answers to things. And it just sometimes takes time, and we just want to be getting deals done. You know, I've closed like 125 loans last year. This year, we're probably expecting a little bit less, you know, with some refis out, but I feel like some of the tools that we've been given with the new construction, with the hometown heroes, you know, we're going to still have tools to sell, and hopefully more inventory. You know, so we all know that's the biggest issue right now. How to get some inventory going. Any questions?
Construction costs. Oh, well, that construction loan cost versus a standard loan cost. Are there different costs that they're going to have?
Yes, because you have the reserves that you have to build in. There are going to be some higher fees for a construction. So there could be a builder fee. There could be, you know, draw schedule fees, inspection fees. So yes, you're going to see some higher cost that will be built into a construction to perm loan, just because of all the extra work that does have to occur.
Any idea of percentage of the loan? So, okay.
I don't know.
Have lunch with Dawn and find out. That would be the best way to do it.
I'll let you know. I'm actually looking forward to putting one in, just to kind of see it, because you can talk about scenarios all day long, you know, and that was one of, like I said, one of the reasons that we did the merger. And I'm also probably going to check a little bit out in Charlotte County, you know, because I know that there's a lot of opportunity out there, you know, for builds and things like that. But
yeah, our market seems to be increasing in Hendry and Glades and Charlotte, as well as Collier County now. And let's see, well, Jason was even out in Lake Placid yesterday because of the cost of houses now. We are a member of Highlands, by the way, in case you need to get out there. Yeah, it's not stellar.
And I think it's, you know, part of our issue, and I do feel bad, it's like you're not able to afford a house as just a teacher. You know, you really are going to have to be a 2-income family. You're really going to be starting to push, you know, before it used to be 50. Now it's more like 70, you know, with no debt, 70,000. So, you know, it is becoming hard. I don't know how we're going to fix our affordable housing. But, you know, we can work with the tools that we have, just, you know, as people start leaving our county for price point.
Okay, any questions of any kind for builders or mortgage people? Anything on the chat? Okay, we'll have all those posted up. We'll make a file as well, an app file, so that you can find it. The UEP, wonderful maps. We tried to download them from the Cape Coral. They didn't work real well. So, but thank you very much, Rochelle, for those. So we'll load those up as well, so you can take a look at those. Oh, well, there you go. We'll shoot them up, and we'll get all that kind of stuff out there. I mean, I think the biggest takeaways from a contract standpoint is every builder is going to have their own contract. And if they don't have a contract, really beware, call me right away. You can use a contract. Remember, there's certain things that builders have to do, like they have to give an insulation factor, a rating. The regular contract does not have that. We have it as an addendum, and that would be one modification that you really need to make. And if the builder looks at you and goes and says, what? Turn around and run. Don't let your customer work with a builder like that who isn't going to work. And we've had some issues like that. We had a builder who all of a sudden at the end of the day, we're getting ready to close, he decided he didn't want to sell the house to the buyer because the price had gone up. So all of a sudden, oh, I'm not going to go and I'm not going to pull my CO. Oh, you're past your contract. And they were using a regular FAR/BAR contract. And all of a sudden, okay, now what? So the buyer has the choice of going and suing a seller / builder or walking away. So it can become a real nightmare. So when you have a customer that's like that, immediately get the gang together, get the team, make sure they're all okay, and put all these pieces together with your customer. You know, bring them all into the conference room somewhere and feel like they're working together and being part of the team. I think that it covers what we're trying to accomplish today. And we thank you very much for you guys taking time out of your day, especially the day after a holiday. So we'll make sure you get the information so you can call Dawn, have a cup of coffee, dig into getting mortgages. And same thing with Douglas Brook Homes. I'm sure they have homes that are under construction around. And and I can tell you, they built one down the street from my house, and I was so impressed with the quality of the work and how clean the entire site was during the entire building process. I've seen somewhere the people are just, the subs were great. They kept everything clean and neat and tidy. And if they're doing that to the site, to me, that says that's the kind of quality of work they're putting into the house too. So no, we thank you very much for all of that. So as we always say, peace out.